Settle down, brother. This is the Quarter Report powered by ENC.com. South Africa is a movie. Welcome to the watch party. And today, South Africa is a dumb movie. It's a movie that if I was in a cinema watching it, I would leave the cinema because it's become too silly. You know, a fundamental part of a movie is that we suspend disbelief, right? So the suspension of disbelief is us going, this is just realistic and sensible enough that I can opt into this being like feeling like a real enough story for me to be moved by it. I can't suspend the disbelief that Patriotic Alliance leader Kenny Kunene was at the house of the businessman arrested for allegedly having DJ Sumbody killed a bunch of years ago. If I had seen that in a movie, I'd be like, thanks, that's enough. I'm going home. Absolutely not. And then, as if this movie couldn't get any dumber, Kenny Kunene went on television on a media round across all of the major newscasters, claiming that he was only at the house because he was giving a journalist a lift to go and interview the guy, the businessman, and they just happened to be there for the interview when they got arrested. Well, we're going to dig into it because, of course, this is the Quarter Report. We have now gone and forensically read this stupid, glorified WordPress blog that Kenny Kunene claims is this news organization that he's been running that was allegedly the reason why he was at the house of this businessman yesterday. Extraordinarily, despite having gone to jail and spent years in jail, Gayton McKenzie, when he announced that he was going to ask Kenny Kunene to step aside and, go on leave for a month while this investigation is being done, Gayton McKenzie said, "This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life." Disregard going to jail for years. Disregard the life of crime that he lived for a long time. Disregard any kind of personal crises. No, suspending Kenny Kunene is the hardest thing he's ever had to do, allegedly. And I've been talking about this now for a couple of minutes. The biggest news story should be the fact that the DA has now normalized relations with the ANC because Cyril Ramaphosa got rid of Nobuhle Nkabane, which means the DA is now going to vote through all the budgets that are required to pass the big budget to turn on South Africa's government's budget taps again for the financial year that we're already in. That should be the biggest story. We're going to talk about that story too. Eric, have I missed anything?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
You can watch the full episode on ENC.com. The link is in the description. That's where all of the full episodes are. Also, go get merch. I say this every day, 3beaniesnetwork.com. I really feel like I need to be told to settle down, brother. Thank you to all of the people who are going across and buying the tote bags and the mugs and the t-shirts and the sweaters. It's really, really cool. And the people who are, when they get their merch, letting us know that they've bought it. Post about it, tag us. It would be fabulous. On Monday night, we debuted the Yoh Scale. It's like the Richter scale, a measure of earthquakes. That's what the Richter scale does, except that it's a measure of mad things happening in South Africa, because the way that South Africans express how wild something is in yo or yo or yo or yo. Like the varieties of your change, and they're hard to measure. But one thing that all South Africans do is we stack our yos. Like some South Africans want to stack the beanies from the 3 Beanies network. So if it's a really big news story, we go, yo, yo, yo. And the only way that we can quantify the madness is by counting the number of yos. So from the TV show on Monday, onto the Quarter Report yesterday, and now today again, when there's ever a really mad news story, and you can use the WhatsApp line or the comment section, show us how mind-blowing something is to you by the number of yos. So for example, yesterday with the MK naked MP in the KZN legislature story, I thought that was at least 5. Like that was yo, 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 at least, okay? If you think of a better name for the Yoh Scale, you can let us know. We think that the Yoh Scale is about as good as it gets. Some people want the Yoh News Scale or the Yometer or the Yoh Meter. I understand that like a barometer or like a temperature gauge or whatever, but then you don't really get the yo. It becomes a yometer. So I'm not sure if people will get it. The scale of yos, which Eric said is some like Victorian reference scales of yore or whatever, times of yore. Some people are saying, like Callum on the WhatsApp line, it should be a decimal system where the number after the decimal should denote either the pause length between the yos or the duration. Like 1.1 is just yo, but 1.5 is yo. Callum, already too complicated. I'm an English lit kid. I'm an English essays kid. I'm not a maths kid. We're going to measure the craziness by the number of yos. And today, I'm going to give what Kenny Kunene did yesterday at least 6. At least 6 yohs on the scale of yours, because it is yo, at least for me.
It's ambitious.
You think
I know, but I think it's important for us to talk about this because, I mean, on the WhatsApp line, we heard just now that we should cap the Yoh Scale.
No.
And I feel like we would be doing ourselves a disservice because
Totally.
I don't think, are you guys remembering just how silly and how much of a movie South African can be?
Totally.
Like, we don't know where it's going to go.
Umkhwanazi on his own is already
like
40, 40 to 50, dude.
Okay.
Like
My
his
bad.
speech was 10, and then all the things that have happened since then have accumulated.
Fair.
He's in like the 2-3 dozen, or at least the fallout with the now Madlanga police inquiry.
Yeah,
and
you're to the
everything.
power of.
You're squared. Okay, Kenny Kunene, origin story, went to jail for a Ponzi scheme, broadly, just so you can understand this, went to jail for fraud, met Gayton McKenzie, who was in jail for armed robbery, robbing a bank. Gayton McKenzie credits Kenny Kunene as changing his life and his perspective on life and reforming him in one of these perfect like friendships that changed his whole life. And they did this big rebrand of themselves, and now they are still two of the most important people, with Gayton McKenzie as the president of the PA, but of the Patriotic Alliance, Kenny Kunene is very much the man who's built the PA with Gayton McKenzie. There have been subsequent, since Kenny Kunene and indeed Gayton McKenzie came out of jail, there have been subsequent allegations and suggestions that they've been continuing criminal activity, although none of it's been proven in a court of law. There have been other allegations and suspicions since then. But in the meantime, the PA got a couple of percent in the last election and now have some political power. Gayton McKenzie is Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture. So Kenny Kunene is currently the Deputy President of the Patriotic Alliance. He's also the Transport MMC for the city of Johannesburg. And yesterday, he just happened to be at the house of Katiso Molefe, who's a businessman, when the police arrived to arrest Molefe on suspicion of organizing the killing of DJ Sumbody a handful of years ago. What on earth was Kenny Kunene doing there at Molefe's house when SAPS arrived? It is genuinely, the chances are, and I'm going to piss off mathematicians again here because this is impossible, sub-zero, that he would be there in that moment. Kenny Kunene then immediately goes on this media round and claims that he was there to give a lift to a journalist from his journalistic organization, his news organization, to get an exclusive interview, an exclusive scoop with Molefe. Kenny Kunene claims to have organized this exclusive interview for a reporter from ANG, African News Global, which he calls his news publication, but it's a glorified WordPress blog. Like, we went on to ANG in the prep research for this show, and the logo for ANG, when you Google it, is the WordPress logo. They haven't even bothered to put in their own logo. And if you go on the website, the logo looks like, if it wasn't so low pixel quality, it would look like a ChatGPT generation of what we think a news website should look like. Across this news website are just big blocks which say advertise here, basically asking people to advertise. But if you click on advertise here, it doesn't go anywhere. So it's not even as though you can really meaningfully advertise. And then if you look at their last 5 published articles, 22 July, which was yesterday, which is basically Kenny Kunene explaining why he was at Molefe's house, credited to ANG reporter, no actual journalist name, no ability to contact and find out who they are. The article before that was 21 July, again to ANG reporter, so it was the day before yesterday. The previous article was 29 May, ANG reporter, which is a month and a half gap in this alleged news publication. I don't know what ANG reporter was doing for the month and a half. Maybe they were on maternity or paternity leave. We don't even know if they're a man or woman. But nothing happened on ANG from 29 May to 21 July. So that's the last 3 articles. The 4th article back was 25 April. And you're thinking, oh, wow, so they write an article every 1.5 months because it's 25 April to 29 May. No. It was 25 April 2024. They took a year and a month break between the 4th last article and the 3rd last. And the one before that was 11 April, again, 2024, again credited to something called ANG Reporter. So to recap, in their last 5 articles, which have taken place over the last year and April, May, June, July, 4 months, so a year and a third, the 5 articles were written by somebody or multiple people. We don't know who they are, ANG Reporter, and it's a glorified WordPress blog. We don't know who's writing these articles. We don't even know if anybody's reading them. And Kenny Kunene claims that he was at KT Molefe's house when the cops showed up for a scheduled meeting so that ANG reporter, one of his journalists, could interview KT Molefe. He didn't tell us the name of the journalist. The journalist didn't come out and say, oh yeah, it was me. And for most of yesterday, while Kenny Kunene was doing his media round, there was no article nor publication of this massive exclusive, this massive scoop on ANG. You would think that any decent journalist would go, wow, I went to meet someone to do an interview with them and they were arrested. Let me get online now and start posting. Let me write an article right now. I will go viral. This will be huge. None of that happened. Eventually, the only article that came out was Kenny Kunene explaining why he was at the scene, allegedly again from ANG reporter, whoever that is. It is beyond belief, this excuse. Like, it just feels so impossible to be real. There is so little evidence that this could possibly be the case that it makes Kenny Kunene, already suspicious for being at KT Molefe's house, seem even more suspicious and untrustworthy than before that he would be there at all, considering he's got this non-news publication that was allegedly the reason he was there. Now, he went into the media and he said, well, you know, everyone's trying to interview the people implicated in these allegations. Brown Okhotsi, everybody's interviewing. People are trying to interview Kat Matlala. It's like good journalistic practice to go and try and get an exclusive, a scoop with KT Molefe, and I could arrange that. And then people were like, how could you arrange that? He's been turning down everybody else. And then Kenny said, I don't know, but we arranged it. And then later, Gayton McKenzie said that Kenny Kunene told him that he does not know KT Molefe at all. So how did you arrange this, Kenny Kunene? How did you pull off this scoop? This amazing journalistic scoop for your blog?
It is bizarre that we don't have any details on this reporter that was allegedly with Kenny at the scene, as well as the third person in that party, I suppose, who is the person that has allegedly set up the meeting between Kenny Kunene and Molefe.
The mysterious fixer.
Yeah. And the fact that also even in the broadcasts that I've seen, nobody asks about them, which is bizarre to me.
Yeah, like on one hand, I was thinking, oh, these broadcasters, these media hosts are so shocked that they don't really know what to say. But on the other hand, I don't really tolerate that as an excuse. Like the holes in this story, Swiss cheese and lingerie could only dream of having as many holes as the holes in this story, and none of those journalists nor like hosts managed to do anything with it. So then Gayton McKenzie, I think it was a TikTok live, it was a video that he put online, came out saying that it was the hardest thing that he's ever had to do, but that Kenny Kunene would be made to step away from his roles in politics for a month while they were investigated. And Gayton says that this is absolutely 100% not because he thinks that Kenny is guilty. He's certain that he's innocent, but it's the right thing to do. And that's funny because it does throw into stark relief how much the ANC does not do that when there are credible and scandalous things happening. Like Gayton could do that in all of 3 hours, whereas Ramaphosa had to come back from Brazil, think for a while, and only then put Mkhunu on leave, and only then put Shadrack Sabia on leave, and all the rest. But it does deepen the quagmire that the Patriotic Alliance is in right now. Because as many people, and we're going to play the clip, but as many people have been bringing up, just a handful of days ago, Gayton McKenzie went to a journalist and said that when the Madlanga Commission comes along into police stuff, he will testify because he knows things.
That I'm telling you, what is going to come out of that? South Africans must be ready. I'm also going to testify at the commission because I know things. If they call me, I'm going. About these guns in the Western Cape that kills our people.
Well then, Gayton, why haven't you told us about them? If you know bad criminal things happening involving politicians, shouldn't you do something about that? Like, surely it's in your best interest surely first it's the right thing to do to report criminality, but secondly, surely it's in your best interest to report criminality involving your political rivals. That will advance your interests in the eyes of the South African people, the way that Mkhonazi's been made a hero, and take out rivals of yours in the political system. Why haven't you just told us? Why are you waiting for a commission? Not looking good, bruv. And all the while, they're trying to make the main story in the PA that Liam Jacobs, their shiny, bright new young star who they poached from the DA after he rinsed Gayton McKenzie and put him out to dry in a parliamentary committee meeting, that he is running for mayor of Tshwane, but that is not cutting through with all the shenanigans that are happening with their president and deputy president right now. So that is the dumb movie that South Africa now is, the really, really, really dumb movie.